Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Beyond the Sum of Our Parts. We're on episode 7. And this episode, we will be diving into self-care. And again, we have a special guest, Trish. She will be moderating for us tonight. So sit back, put some wine on, put your teeth, no, take that out. Sorry, I messed it up. And enjoy. You can cut that out, can't you?
Thank you, Ebony, for that beautiful introduction. We are so glad you're here. We're going to take a moment, whether you have wine or coffee or wherever you find yourself in the world, and we are going to take a moment to take a breath and be present and share some intentions. So go ahead and take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Leave behind anything you might have brought into the space with you. Feel your body in your chair. Think of an intention word. We're each going to share an intention word, what we are bringing to our episode in this conversation tonight. So I guess I'll go first. My intention right now is really just to be present. So.
My intention word is intentional.
My word is unity.
My word is interesting.
My word is focus.
All right, those are great words. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Trish to get us started.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so I have some questions for you guys. What does self-care mean to you in this stage of your life? So I think I should probably go first since I asked the question, or should go last?
Up to you.
Up to me. I wasn't ready to answer my own question. Self-care to me right now, and I was going to throw out my age there just so that people know what they're coming into later in life. 43. 43 has been interesting. Self-care to me means I have to move my body every single day or I feel like I'm atrophying. So that's what that feels like. It feels like I have to, my lifestyle of eating is completely changed. And so I have to be very mindful of what I put in my body because I'll feel it in 24 hours and it's not pretty. It feels like getting up in the morning and give myself an hour or two of just alone time by walking or having a cup of tea and just getting clarity for the rest of the day because I find myself not, I don't want to say willing or able to tolerate, but my tolerance is low. Like it used to be 7 p.m. and I think it's at 3 right now. It's like 3 p.m. So it's making sure that I fill my cup in the morning so I can extend my day. And I am a holistic person, so I really do take a lot of supplements and I'm mindful of replacing nutrients because as we get older, we get deficient and you can feel it. So that is a little bit of sample of my self-care right now. Looks totally different from what it did before. Totally different. So that's my self-care right now.
Thank you, Trish. For me, self-care has always been a struggle. As a giver, as a carer, as a healer, whatever you want to call it, I find that I'm usually so busy giving and pouring into other people that a lot of times I don't take the time and attention to pour into myself. And so for me, self-care is truly filling my own cup, taking care of myself so that other people don't have to. Because if my cup isn't full, I don't have anything to pour out to other people. So that means, making sure that I'm going to sleep on time, making sure that I'm eating, healthy foods that feel good within me, not just, yo-yo diets and all this other stuff, making sure that I'm moving my body and staying active, making sure that I'm finding time to just be by myself and in the quiet, whether that's prayer, meditation, reading a book, whatever it is, finding time to just be focused and centered and in this moment. But also self-care for me is setting boundaries, being able to say, I can't do this right now because I have some other, and not feeling like I have to explain myself. A lot of times we get into the habit of, I can't because, just like I said, it's like a natural response. But self-care is being able to say, I just can't, maybe because I don't want to, but I just can't. Because this is my time, and I'm respecting myself and I'm respecting my body. And so for me, self-care is setting boundaries. And in my business, that is something that I found that I struggle with, because I would have clients that would text me at all hours of the day, and my natural response is like, I text message, I'm going to respond to it. And reminding myself, self-care. Right now I am playing with my son, or right now I'm watching TV, or right now I'm doing whatever. I can't. I'll respond to it when business hours are back, and being able to tell my clients, these are my business hours. If you message me outside of them, I may see it, but I won't be responding until back to business hours, because this is my time, and I have to respect myself as well as my family. So for me, self-care is not just physical, the care of your body, your temple, but it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. So yeah, that is what self-care means to me.
I can go. I feel like you both said a lot of things that I really relate to. I feel like for me, I'm 46, so like it is very different for me now than it used to be. And some of that was learned the hard way from not pouring into my cup first. Right now, it really does look like that, tending to like physical body, tending to mind, tending to spirit, all of those things. Like Trish said, your body physically lets you know when you get older. You can't just keep going and going. It lets you know, like, whoa, hold up, slow down, pause. Or you feel things like, so it's easy to ignore. For me, it was easy to ignore my body when I was younger. But so it's mind, body, and spirit. For me, it's also, for me, self-care really is like taking that time, particularly in the morning. Usually it's meditation, but is that stillness that like I am a human being, not a human doing. Like I need to be still and be with myself and make sure that I am grounded in myself. And I'm so sorry. Taking that time to be grounded in myself, whether it's meditation or journaling or prayer or some combination thereof. And then also, like for me, as I've gotten older too, just walking, moving my body, like you said, I walk a lot. And spirituality, which is just a thing that like came to me later. So I'm so sorry. Yeah, but it's become so important because my understanding of the importance of self-care has really evolved. I can't play with it. I can't ignore it. I just can't. My ability to function has gotten less and less if I don't take care of myself first, because like Jordan was saying, I'm a nurturer and I'm a giver. And so for me also the boundaries are important, the ability to say no, and that learning to say no without the guilt, like learning to walk away from the guilt, learning to see saying no as an act of love for myself, not as a way in which I'm letting other people down. And that shift came, I feel like, as I entered my 40s, and that has been so important for my self-care. So I think that's it for me. And self-care means, like when my daughter walks in and we're on a podcast, I just do my thing for me and she has her time. So anyway.
Okay, so I guess I'll go. Mike, you want to go?
No, you go ahead.
You sure? Okay.
It's like you guys are playing chicken.
Yeah. So what self-care means to me, honestly, I don't know, to be honest with you. I lost self-care a long time ago, I guess I want to say. Like Mike, I thought self-care was basically hygiene, taking a bath every day, brushing my teeth, combing my hair. And then when I learned how to balance mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I learned slowly what self-care is. But for a very long time, I didn't know what self-care was because I was always giving and I didn't have anything in return. And and now I'm learning how to put into myself. And I'm learning how to um, pick and choose what I want around me, what I want to do, what I think is best is I'm not being greedy, but what is beneficial to me. Because I'm 40, and it's a struggle for me. And I'm actually, by me being 40, you look at self-care, and I explain, of course Jen is aware of this. I explain, on my mom's side, you look at self-care as health, food, all of that. And I think I explained this to Trish. I'm at a point where I got high blood pressure, I'm pre-diabetic, I'm morbidly obese, and it's causing health issues to where, I want to live past 45. So that I'm learning how to take care of myself. So I'm learning the self-care part of my life right now. So, I am taking care of myself, and I'm putting Ebony first, and not anyone else, because I want to, I don't think my kids are having grandkids anytime soon, but I do want to see my grandkids. I do want to see my daughter get married. So that is a part of self-care to me. So I'm learning. I don't have a true definition of self-care, but I'm learning what self-care is to me in this day and time. So yeah, that's self-care for me.
That's pretty instant. Well, yeah, you guys have great things of listing as far as self-care goes. Self-care goes for me, I like Ebony, I didn't really know. I always thought it was just like, taking care of yourself, cleaning, brushing your teeth, that kind of thing. Um and like you said, we're all hitting that cusp of the word 4-0. Not all of us are there yet, but we some of us is hitting that notch just a little bit. So, it does play a role into the whole of taking your vitamins, eating the right foods, getting your daily exercise in, and all the things that you were told to do as a child that you didn't want to do. Eat your vegetables. Yeah. So now as an adult, now you got no choice but to eat them now, because if you don't, chances are it's not going to be good for you. So so you're eating your vegetable, you're taking your vitamins, and just getting more exercise. We were all fine about doing the exercising part as kids, running around, playing around, but then the whole eating aspect also played a big role. But once again, back then we didn't really care because we were burning it off anyways. And so now we're in our 40-ish 40-ish age, and so it's becoming a little bit different for us to try to run around and eat what we want and still try to burn what we got. Our body ain't working like that. So basically trying to self-care doesn't only just play to that, it also plays with the mental mindset of clearing your thoughts, clearing your energy, decompressing everything every once in a while, which I'm pretty sure a lot of us forget to do often, and even in the times where we think we are, but we're really not. We may say, okay, cool, I got nothing to do today, this is my alone time, but in actuality, is it really your alone time, or is your mind still running around thinking about things you should get done, things you haven't done, things you're about to do tomorrow, the next week, or next month? So it's finding that time to basically be by yourself mentally as well as spiritually is very important, because that does play a role into your physical health as well. And our mental, for a lot of us, I don't know about you guys, but my mind goes running wild over different things. It's like a scenario of every single thing that can happen, good or bad. And whether I am portraying a role up front, well, like I'm okay, but no, my mind's running like, no, it's not. It's not. It's not okay. But yeah, so it's like the I don't know, the trick to it is to clearing your mind, and even when I'm sleeping, it's just like, why am I thinking about this? Why am I dreaming about this? Why is this on my mind? I just want to sleep. I want to dream about me falling on pillows and clouds. That to me would be like the ultimate zen. But no, it's what am I doing the day after this? How much money do I have in my account? Is she into me? Damn, she looks good. Oh my God. What am I having for breakfast? Did I eat that yesterday? Oh my God, my diet's bad. I'm gonna die. Why? It's just, yeah. Yeah. My mind goes crazy with it. It goes crazy. But I have an overactive imagination. And so it's good as a kid, maybe, but as an adult, it's awful. Everything freaks me out. But I keep my composure. But it still freaks me out. So, great topic. Anyone has any suggestions to how us could pretty much turn it off and get the white noise or the dark screen or something? Because I've tried every hallucinogen there is out there within reason, and it doesn't seem to work. I've even tried edibles, although they're very good, and I feel sluggish afterwards. But I can't function for at least 2 days. And I tried one with brownie and ice cream, and there was like a la mode kind of thing, which was really good. However, after I ate it, I was like, should I have eaten that? That's a lot of sugar. Am I gonna get diabetes?
My gosh, Mike,
Like,
your poor mind.
it is awful. It is awful. I saw a dot on my toe, and I'm thinking I got foot fungus to the point where my toe is gonna fall off. I don't know what that is. Now I'm all freaked out about it. But
Look,
I saw it 3 days ago, and I'm tweeting. I'm searching online trying to find a cure for
oh,
it.
stay
I
out of
don't know
there.
what it is.
I've
I
been
don't know
out
what
there.
that's
Stay off WebMD, Mike. Don't do it.
I'm just gonna say, Mike, coming from a medical background, you said a spot on your toe. I will go get it checked out
Yeah, it's like
because
a
it
blank.
can be it can be cancerous.
Oh
That's
gosh, don't
how.
tell him that. Now he's
There you
gonna go
go.
Yeah.
down the
Or it could be
Alright.
acid foot. That's the thing. It could be one end or the other.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So
See, that's what my mind
okay.
was thinking. And I'm like, in the toe, I got a cancer. Like it's a black on the toenail, so I'm not sure if it's a fungus or do I just need to take my whole toenail off. I don't know. My mind's running. Yeah.
Speak with a professional, Mike, before you decide to take your toenail off, please.
But you know what? Like you said something, I feel like that was really important. Like, I feel like for me, like part of this journey of getting older and self-care has been realizing that like other people don't have this shit figured out. Sorry, language. That thing you're describing, like they call it mindfulness monkey mind because it's like a monkey swinging from tree to tree to tree. And like some of us are just really attuned to what our minds and our bodies are doing. My thing used to be I was overly attuned to my body. And then I'd freak out about all the stimuli I was checking out. I had to learn to observe it without getting caught up in that story, which is for me was mindfulness is not the same for everybody, but it's like this thing of human, right? And being aware that you're really human and that's what our brains do. I mean, I don't know too many people that don't do that a little bit. I'm jealous of people that don't have that thing. I know there are people that don't have that thing. I used to wish for like an off button. But I've also realized like some of that thing I thought I should have, my mind should be clear, my mind should be calm. Like it's not always like the ideal. Like I'm trying to make sure I'm in touch with myself and I'm settled, but I guess what I'm working towards and my expectations have changed a little bit with self-care.
Ebony, to answer your question, I had my blood work done last week or the week before, and there was no sign of cancer. So if there's a cancer in my foot, somebody gonna have to refund me a bill.
Oh my God.
Well, no, the reason why that's how Bob Marley died. He seen a spot under his toenail, and okay, but that's here nor there.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Didn't know that either.
I didn't either.
Mm-hmm.
I saw online. I saw a video of a person taking a picture, and if you got red dots in your eye, like the little red line, apparently that's a sign of some form of eye cancer. I'm like, I'm damned if I do, if I'm damned if I don't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's okay. It's okay, Mike. It's definitely okay.
I learned how to clean strawberries, right? I learned how to clean strawberries watching a TikTok or whatever these kids put online in these hacks. And I saw worms come out of it. My mind has literally taught myself just now after watching that I've been consuming worms filled with strawberries.
Self-care is unplugging from the
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
just unplug from the internet. Just take it off.
And just because a thought pops in your mind doesn't mean that you need to go
Right.
down the rabbit hole with it. You know, mindfulness is truly being able to watch your thoughts like you're watching clouds, like literally. Oh, there's a thought. Oh, cool. Okay, moving on.
Without judgment, without trying to change it. Like it's
Right.
so hard, but also so like it creates a pause and some distance, and then you can choose how to respond, right?
Right.
But it's a practice like
It
no
is a
other.
practice.
It
Yes.
is
You don't
constant.
understand, like it's on the outside. It looks very composed. I can keep it composed.
So
But my
ruminating
mind,
thoughts.
Yeah.
Your
my
thoughts are
mind is
racing.
going everywhere. My knee,
So-
I was walking the other day. My knee made a pop sound. I'm like, oh my God, do I need surgery?
Yeah. So I mean, you know what, too, Mike. I say this, and I say this with passion. I think you really should go lay on the couch. And when I mean lay on the couch, because Trish asked me what it was. You need.
I thought she was inviting me over. I was like, what?
You know,
To the couch.
no.
Unusual way to
I
do that.
think I think you should go seek therapy, and not in a bad way,
Right.
because you.
That shouldn't be considered as a bad thing. That should be considered
Right.
as
Yeah. So
But-
I think you should go seek, and there are men and women out there of color that can relate to you in some aspect, some form, and that can help you release some of these thoughts in your head so you can at least have a good night's sleep. So
Right.
you won't have to continuously have these racing thoughts, because I used to do the same thing. Like, and you had thoughts of things. I had thoughts of how can I help this person tomorrow, or what can I do for this person? And that became tiring. It's definitely tiring mentally and physically. And when I was doing that, I didn't understand what it was causing and doing to me internally. So I would definitely suggest you go. It's not nothing not out of the norm. No, we all have had it, and I still have it every now and again. But I've learned what I can do to shut it off, and I've learned what I can do to deal with it. But this is before I started seeing a therapist or a counselor or whatever, whoever you want to call it. I to make it sound not so like medical, I say lay on the couch. I'll go lay on the couch in a heartbeat. And it helped me through a lot of those my running races. Like I was a single mom for a long time, and I thought about, oh Lord, what's gonna happen to my son? What's gonna happen to my daughter? You know, those thoughts are real and crucial, and it does something to you as a person. And so once again, I didn't know the difference because, like I said, I didn't understand what laying on the couch meant. I thought, oh, you had to be crazy on the fifth floor to go see a therapist or a psych or whatever. But I learned that it's okay. And you may need to go talk to someone because of those, even though those thoughts are not as intense as what I've had, but your mind is still racing to where you can't relax at night.
No, you're
Yeah,
fact.
So you could also
yeah.
give it a name too. Like when you feel yourself going left with your thoughts, like be like, Victor, you need to come back here. I don't know, give it some random name. Be like, yo, you're doing it again. Like bring it back.
Yeah.
But I've learned from like the office that I'm at right now, unhelpful thinking styles, how many of them we really do have on a regular basis because of the biases and everything that you've taken in life. And so you just build this habit of like thinking, and they're unhelpful thinking styles, and they take you down a rabbit hole. And before you know it, you're in a place that you don't even recognize. You can't sleep. And I think, I don't know, somebody said something about boundaries, and I think it was Jordan. That's a real thing. I coached basketball for so many years. My heart bleeds for kids. At some point, I went through compassion fatigue and absolute burnout. I had nothing more to give, and I got scared of myself because I stopped feeling. And I'm like, what's happening right now? My body almost went like, it was, instead of stressing outward, it was internalizing my stress. So now my body was starting to shut down. And it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And so I really had to think about boundaries and like really taking time for myself, because I couldn't keep doing all this output and then working with social services, having kids. And I was trying to do it all. I was trying to hustle. I was grinding, but nobody told me about the grind was going to kill you. Like, you got to chill out. And that expedited my type 2 diabetes. And I think I talked to Ebony about this. That really ignited the type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is a stress response chronic disease. Like, you really could flip the light switch on in a heartbeat if you don't listen to, if you don't calm yourself down, remove yourself from situation. And then the ruminating thoughts keep you up at night. And if you're not sleeping, you're not functioning. And it is a dangerous, slippery slope.
I have a rubber band theory. A rubber band theory, and it's so bad. And I got it from a show I was watching one time, and it made like Ted Danson said it on his show about Dr. Becker or whatever. I'm a big anyways. So he said something, and it was like, life is like a rubber band, where something good happens, and then you pull it, and every time something good happens, you pull it. And then you keep pulling it. And every time something good happens, it keeps pulling back to the point where the rubber band snaps and slaps you in the face. Thus being calm. I have that fear. That kicks into my face. Anytime something good happens, I'm like, what's going on? When's the foot going to drop? No.
That muscle memory for you.
Yeah. It is very bad.
And sometimes... Go, Jen.
I have a lot of muscle memories too. Sometimes I'm in a situation, I'm just like, I'm safe. Why do I feel like this right now? And have to like scan the area. 5 things. Can you touch 3 things? Can you smell 3 things? Can you, and you got it. And that is like literally you're having a panic attack. We don't even realize it. You're having a panic attack. And so you got to check yourself and see where you're at. Panic attack, anger, like all of, what do we call it? I'm going to type it in the box.
It is crazy. It is crazy. It's just like, yeah. So, and self-caring, and as far as like, physical wise, and then mental, emotional wise, it does play a role. And I feel like that's another thing that we all as people don't really talk about, because we're pretty much made to be like, I get talking to a person on the couch. I totally get it. And and I feel like maybe this is just my mind running around again. I feel like if everybody would talk about their feelings, would that eliminate the person on the couch? Would that, if we all talked about our like how we are right now in this whole podcast, would that eliminate the person talking on the couch to us? Or us going to go see a person, if we're basically talking about our fears and our issues, our what goes on in our minds, and things like that, with people that we know and people that we just met, things like that. Universally.
I think it's helpful. I think it's really helpful to get it off your chest.
Yeah, I don't think that any of it will ever go away. It's just how to deal with it and how to manage it. And once again, boundaries, balance, plays a big part of it. Boundaries and balance. I don't think has my racing went away. No, because I still do it. I still do it, but I know now how to manage it. Let me say that. I know how to manage it, because sometimes when you get like that, it consumes you. It really does. And I know how to manage, pretty much. I know how to manage it. It ain't went nowhere. It's still there. Hey, look, we're not doing this today. We really, and me personally, I talk to myself to the point where my son asks me. He asks me now. He was like, "Mom, are you talking to me, or are you talking to yourself again?" But in a sense, it's not a bad thing, because I talk myself down to where I get myself in a space to where I want to be. I don't want to be in this dark rabbit hole. So I talk myself and I climb myself up out of this rabbit hole. And I'm literally talking to myself. So I mean, you have to do what works for you. It's not going to go away, but you can learn how to work with it, manage it, and balance it.
Yeah, I talk to myself a lot.
So
I do
And
too, but the things I say to myself now are more helpful than the things I used to say to myself
Yeah.
before. Because I can relate a lot, Mike. Like I spent a lot of time, like where my anxiety showed up for me was in somatic things, things in my body. But then I would do that thing. That one little thing was never a little thing. It was a symptom of something bigger that was for certain going to kill me or like take me out. And and some of it was learning just to name the things, like what's happening, what is that about for me, and when is that happening? And it's I still have my moments. If I find myself really, I'm having these symptoms, and I start just kind of like it's got to be this or it's got to be that. Now I know for me that's like, okay, what's going on with your anxiety? What's stressing you out? But it took me a long, long time and laying on some couches to learn to name it, to learn to like have a little distance from it, so I don't fall into the story and the spiral and just keep going, because I can go. I could be in an emergency room in like 8 hours because I've sat and ruminated on this thing, So for me now it's more of like a red flag, and I don't always catch myself right away, but I catch myself a lot faster, and it happens a lot less. And now I can say, I like your name, Trish. I thought that was funny, but I can be like, oh, there's that thing. And that thing isn't scary anymore. It's how I relate to it. Like now it's not scary. Now I know what it is. I'm doing that thing. And then why am I doing that thing? And still sometimes I need to call somebody who's going to be like, yeah, you're probably fine. Or go check it out, But years, I mean, it's how you relate to it.
Mine creeps up when I'm exhausted. When I'm exhausted, those thoughts, they take off like a muscle. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. Let me sleep on it and think about it tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, because it requires energy to stop them or to step back and not just go with it. The least energy to put out, the easiest thing to do is to just fall into that story and go.
Yeah. And it's not easy to catch. You don't catch it immediately, but you get quicker at catching it, and you get unstuck quicker. So what I've realized, it's definitely a behavior that I've had from my childhood that I've carried over as an adult. And I'm like, it doesn't serve me anymore right now. I'm not even in the same space. Why am I thinking about that? And one of my teachers was like, it's a muscle memory.
Yeah. It's in your body.
It's a muscle memory. Like however you were when you were younger, like you as an adult, you kind of like, you go into it. And so you can build new muscles. That's the beautiful thing. Like your mind is so powerful. You can build new ways of being, but it's such a practice, but it takes awareness. Like you said, like you recognize you do this now. So you're like, okay, cool. Let me take a step back. What do I do before that? I still do it now. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, there she is. Okay.
Me
all right.
too.
What's going on?
But I know for me, like,
you tired? Did you have some milk today? Like ice cream? Because Gary usually sets me off.
Yeah, me too. And for me, like I got the desperation was like, it wasn't like I was like, I'm going to take better care of myself. It was like I had a teenager and an infant and a husband in rehab, and I had a panic attack, and was like, I'm the only person here who can take care of these people. If I don't take care of myself, nobody's going to be okay. Not this teenager, not this infant. And like, so crawled through the door, of the therapist's office, crawled into Al-Anon. Like it was desperation. I'd like to say like, oh yeah, I got there because I knew I needed it, but I wasn't doing it. I was busy taking care of everybody else, and then had to learn my way back. But it also, like what Trish said, like we have it, there are things that sometimes helped us survive that no longer serve us, Some of those things are really adaptive, and now we're like, it's scary to let go of them.
And we could talk about
that's the thing I was going to say. Oh, sorry. No, the thing I was going to say, sorry, I got off track. I got super distracted. Is that like when someone was like, you should try mindfulness. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to effing sit by myself. My mind is crazy right now.
Right.
So I literally started with like 1 minute of mindfulness. That was all I could do in the beginning. And then it was 2, and then it was 3. And it has really been huge. And it's not for everybody. And you can do it all kinds of different ways. But for me, that's the thing that helped me to like have that pause and create that space between me and those stories or those feelings or those body sensations. But I literally started with like 1 minute. Because I tried like 10 and I freaked out and it felt awful, and I was like, I'm never doing it again. Because my mind did all the things minds do, and then I did all the things I do where I was like, I'm terrified and I'm dying, and I was like, nope, this is not good. So I know for me, I also like for self-care, whether it's the mindfulness, I've really had to learn that I need to start small. I need to start where I am. It's like when you talked about fad diets or yo-yo dieting, like you take that big restrictive thing and it's dramatic, but it's not sustainable, right? You have to pick a practice or whatever you're going to do has to be something you can manage right now, and you can do a little bit at a time, at least for me, for self-care.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Baby steps. I'm with you with that in terms of self-care. Yeah. Because a lot of times I find when when I realize I've fallen out of balance, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta start eating healthy. I gotta start working out. I gotta start doing all this stuff, and I'm just gonna start it all right now. And I gotta go to bed early and wake up early and blah, blah. And then the next day will come, and I've done like one of the 10 things on my self-care list, and I'm like, well, fell off. Guess I'm gonna go back to what I was doing before. Versus just choosing one thing. Like I have this whole list of self-care, choosing one thing and focusing on that one thing for a week or until it becomes normal for me, and then adding on the next thing and adding on the next thing. I think in terms of self-care for me, the biggest thing that I am working with is just living in this moment right now. Like when I find that my mind is going 1,000 miles per hour, usually it's focused on the future, and being able to stop myself and be like, okay, wait, rewind. What's happening right now? What's happening in this moment? What do I need right now in this moment? What am I feeling right now in this moment?
Yes.
And that usually helps me to get my mind, back in check. Like, yes, okay, this thing on my toe may be this or it may be that, but in this moment right now, what do I need, right? And it's like one of the things that you said, Jen, about the situation that you were in, and recognizing that you were the only person that could take care of these people. It's like the airline analogy, on the airplane where they always say, put on your oxygen mask first. I remember the first time I went flying with my son, he was like 2 at the time, and they told me, and that thing came on, and I was like, well, that's stupid. I'm going to put his mask on first. Mind you, I was not as aware as I am now. And when I think back to that, I'm like, well, yeah, that makes so much sense, because if I'm dead, how am I going to help him put his mask on? How helpful am I going to be if I'm dead from oxygen loss, right? So I completely get it. And I think something else that has been helpful for me in terms of self-care, a lot of times we've heard of the love languages thing. Physical touch, quality time, acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation. For me, it was taking those love languages and applying them to myself. I think that was like the most like, oh my gosh, aha moment thing that I had. Like my love languages are physical touch and quality time. So instead of looking externally for people to fill my cup with physical touch and quality time, taking it internally and giving my own self quality time, giving my own self physical touch, being able to give myself foot massages or whatever before I go to bed, or just, moisturizing my body, or, spending time by myself. Those I find so much joy and so much like peace of mind really through just living out my love language for myself instead of expecting it from other people. And just being compassionate for myself, treating myself like I would treat a friend, being my own best friend, as opposed to always looking outward for other people to do for me, being able to be self-sufficient, but not in like a trauma response way, but just really loving and caring for myself. So.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And it is it's eye opener. I will definitely give that love language thing a shot, because it does speak volumes to no, it is a good example to give something a try. It's better than nothing, which I had nothing of. Still looking at my toe, by the way, thinking I got cancer now, Ebony.
No, right now. What do you need right now? Right? What's happening right now? Don't focus on the future.
Well, see that, and here's the thing. It was so bad for me at one point in time where the future always ended in doom of me dying. Then I eliminate the fear of dying, but now it's still like I don't want to die slowly. I don't want to die.
Why don't you focus on your quality of life versus the death process?
And then there's like the quality of life. And then there's, you're right, the quality of life. My quality of life. I travel now, right? Which I love, by the way. Then the plane goes off. I'm like, I hope this thing lands, because if it crashes in the sea and I'm surviving, how long can I stay afloat?
Oh my gosh.
My therapist used to call that like my need to hold the whole world up. Like if I let it go, everything was going to go to shit, excuse my language. Like that's what she would say. Like, you're doing that thing again. I'd be like, oh yeah, that thing where I have to hold the whole world together, or it's all going to like cross apart. Like the plane in the sky. And I like when she could say it like that, I could hear it in a way that I couldn't say it to myself sometimes, but I relate.
I always think about this. I think about radical acceptance. Like,
Yes.
I always, when you go out the house, you have a 50-50 chance. Like 50 chance something's going to go good, 50% chance. It's half and
Yeah.
half. And like, I'm going to take that risk and I'm going to live my life to the best that I
Yeah.
possibly can until I'm informed another way to do it.
Yes.
And if something happens, I'm in God's hands. That's all it
Yeah.
is. But
That
it's,
part,
once again,
it's
it's a
like,
practice and it's hella scary because, yeah, go ahead.
no, you're right. No, that part is not. And once again, that is not the issue. It's just you think about it, and then you're just like, okay, cool. Then God's hand. But then what if He wants you to survive and suffer? What
See,
is
that's where you got to
suffering?
stop yourself. You got to be like, you know what?
What's
You're
suffering?
good. It's
And then
suffering.
it's like, what's my definition of suffering? Okay, cool. Worst thing happens. I get glaucoma. I go blind. Can I really live blind, not being able to see things
Oh
like
my
race?
gosh.
No,
What if I
The
don't have any
rabbit
left in
holes
me?
are real,
It just
Mike. The
goes.
rabbit holes are
It
so
goes.
real.
It goes. Like even with work and even like trying to do things and do my own business or just venture out. It's like there's that negative person in the back of my mind that's like, dude, you sure you want to take on this toll? What if this happened? What if that happens? And it's just like, okay. Then I try to combat it and be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna handle it when it gets there. But what if you can't? And then it just goes into another thing. And it's just like, I'm gonna stay here. Yeah, I'm gonna stay here in my little in my
fear is stifling.
yeah.
Fear is stifling. Fear is
Yes, it
stifling.
is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It
Yes,
is.
it is. And
It
it's
is. And
just
I can honestly say I've been there too. Yeah,
it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. And that part of self-care, we
yeah.
can clean ourselves, we can take our
Is
vitamins
it
every
real?
day. We can we can eat the right foods, we can exercise, but at the end of the day, and I know for a fact I'm not the only one that does this, or we've all just said it ourselves. At some point in time, we catch ourselves from it, but then other times we may not. But it's like, how do you get your mind to turn off? And turn off in a good way. Not turn off is like not
Right.
caring about somebody dying, not
Disassociate.
caring about things. It's like turn off just for a
Right.
second and just breathe. And breathe, not thinking the air is toxic, not thinking how are the plants doing it and how can I do it like a plant, that kind of thing. So it's it's one of those things where it's just like it is and it is kind of like, when it comes to that self-care, that's the aspect of myself that I avoid a great deal a lot. And I'll focus on, getting healthier, eating healthier, being more active and things like that. And then as I'm being more active and just take my mind off of it, boom, I end up hurting something. Now it's like, oh crap. Now you're gonna be down here for at least 6 months. What's gonna happen? What if you become like that person on 500 Pounds Life, that TLC show? It's like, oh my God, how do I ever get that way? I don't ever want to be that way. And then it just goes
Yeah.
down to a whole nother thing. And then you get to a point where you're just like, I'm not gonna eat all day today. Nope, not doing it. Not doing it.
So I feel like I like that you said that too, because I'm like, what are we feeding our mind? Because our mind is always listening, right? And the subconscious takes like, I don't know, 36, and correct me, for 36 days, maybe I'm exaggerating, but for it to process. And within that time, you've already done like X, Y, Z, right? So I'm an extremist. My addiction is working out. My addiction is education. My addiction is learning and being curious. And I feel like we all have addictions, and I've tried alcohol. It didn't work out so well for me because of type 2 diabetes. And I'm from Trinidad, so I'm okay with the trees and stuff. But you know what I mean? Like we all have or mitigating behaviors for certain things. And so when I feel as though I always feel like I don't do enough. I always feel like I don't do enough for other people every single time. And yet I have 4 jobs, 2 children, a husband at home, and then myself. And somewhere around there, then I think about myself. But I'm so worried about what everybody else is doing and are they taken care of? And I have to really think about it. God has already said, you know what? You can't do everything. Give all your stress to Him and walk away, because you're white knuckling through life, and that is not the way to go. Because when you white knuckle, you can't even turn left. Like you can't go nowhere. And so it's a practice. When you feel your mind going left, it's a muscle. I'm okay. Stop that. We're good. what's the positive way of thinking about it and rewording this? Because I've had to do that many times with myself. I have a shitty, that's
Whatever,
my
I
favorite
did like
word.
twice. You're good.
Okay, all right.
And
You
here I
know,
was
like,
thinking it was gonna be me. That's our regular thing on
I
Facebook.
am so proud of you, Mike. I'm so proud of you.
I literally thought it was gonna be me dropping the F-bombs, the S-bombs, the N-bombs, and all that. I did pretty good today. I didn't drop my word.
You did,
like,
yes.
word.
Not one.
I'm stressed out.
Yes, thank you.
I got a potty mouth like a
But
baby
we have to
slayer.
like drop the armor. We have to drop the armor.
Yeah.
We've been armored for so long. We've been armored for so long that we're too scared to like remove it when we're safe. So it's small. When you recognize you're doing it, then you slowly start changing what you're telling yourself, because your mind is listening. And as long as you're telling your mind, hey, this black thing on my toe is going to turn into XYZ, your mind is going to manifest that. Like, we have to be careful of what you tell your brain, because your brain and your body, it's almost two separate entities.
It is.
When we talk about being healthy, we're like, oh, let's work out, but you can't feel good in your body if you don't feel good up here. And this is where the job needs to be done. And it takes it's almost like you have to be careful what you put into it. So if you're watching like Dateline NBC every single night and you've fallen asleep, chances are you're gonna wake up paranoid, right? Having avoidance behavior. I'm queen of having avoidance behavior, to the point where I avoided my own health because I'm like, it's no big deal. It's fine. I avoided the stress at work. Until I made myself physically sick, and I'm like, wow, this is a terrible habit for me. I've got to stop avoiding stuff and start facing these things, even though it's hell of uncomfortable. And I feel like a baby when I'm doing it. And literally, I feel like my child, like my baby self. And that means I have to confront her and let her know it's okay. It's going to be all right. You're doing fine. You're doing the best that you can. Let's, do it today and then start fresh again tomorrow and start taking steps to that. Because it all links back to like your childhood, and a lot of the trauma that I had wasn't even mine. I took in everybody else's trauma because as a child, that's what they do. Right. And so I'm walking around like this is my shit, and it's not. So I have to like separate the two.
Yeah. Taking in other people's.
It's been very difficult, but it's possible.
Taking in other people's things is one of the hardest things that
We're
surrounded by people.
It's definitely hard.
And
I have to. Go.
But they plant seeds.
Like,
every time they talk to you, they plant a seed and it grows in you and it takes over you. So you got to be really like, hey, that ain't for me. Like, we cool and everything, but nah, because my brain is going to fester on that for another 24 hours and then some.
You're sleeping fine, and my mind is still running off of what you just told me and what you just
Yeah. I had to kind of draw it. I did. Yes, I had to do that today. Just example, I'm working now, so whole different ball game for me. But my coworker, she can't. The natural reaction of me is just to come in. What's wrong? What can I do? Hold you? Blah blah blah. All of that. Today, I did not have the energy to take because I don't have anything left in me. She was crying, of course, and she had some personal issues. To me, and I wasn't being selfish, because before I learned how to take care of myself, I would have considered myself being selfish at this very moment. But I had to, because mentally I'm drained. I don't have anything for you. And I can't take on what you have going on too. Not today. I can't do it. Not today. And I had to tell her, I was like, I love you like a play cousin, but I can't take what you have going on today. And she looked at me, and I didn't go into detail, because once you tell me what you tell me, I'm thinking about how I'm going to resolve your issue or your problem or what you got going on. And it's going to drain me out to where I am going to be left with nothing. So I have to put a pause there. I have to stop you there. I'm going to give you a hug, but I don't want to hear about it.
And that's it.
I,
And it sounds so mean, but it's much needed. And there's
yeah,
that
it's
thing Jordan
definitely,
said,
yeah,
boundary.
yes,
People
yeah,
don't
You're
respect
loving
you when you feel some
yourself.
type of way. They feel some type of way when you put those boundaries, and then
They
you're the bad
Right.
do.
guy
And you
for
know
putting
what?
those
But that's
boundaries.
good because it'll filter and give you more space in your life. If
Yep.
they're sucking up that much time, it's time for them. They're too dependent on you.
Yep.
And that's not good for your mind. And if they respect you, then they're good. If they don't, then you just filtered out something that doesn't need to be in the place already, unfortunately. Like, and I find it's kind of isolating actually.
Mhm.
But with the people that do come in your life, they fill your cup so much and you're like, damn, why wasn't I friend with you a long time ago? Like, where have you been my whole life?
Yeah. The
Right.
quality.
Man.
You get things that recharge you instead of just taking them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because people will come and take that without intention. I feel like for
Vampires,
me,
man.
it's that boundary, but then also like I know like so Al-Anon was important for me in learning self-care. Like my husband was on his ride with addiction, and like I crawled in those doors to a girlfriend that was there, and the first thing you gotta learn is that you're like powerless. I didn't cause it, I didn't create it, I can't cure it. But like they have this term about detaching with love, and it's really just boundaries, but it's about how I love myself and how I
Right.
can love you by letting go. But I really had to learn like what was on my side of the street and what was on your side of the street. And it
Yeah.
was, I had to do it like then it was like about my survival. But once I got healthier, it was also just about like, that's yours and this is mine. Because everything was mine before. I cared about you. Therefore, I wanted to help you. Therefore, I'm going to give you my energy. And then I don't have anything left for myself. And I feel like for me, thinking about what's mine and what's not, and also thinking about like what I control and what I don't. Like my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, and all that other stuff. Like, and it's been a process. I've been practicing to learn to let go of the things I don't control, right? Because I don't control nearly as many things as I'd like to control, let's be honest. Like, but that's been, all of that has been part of self-care for me, you know?
They teach you that pretty early in school. Like, I think I had a conversation about this the other day, and with my kids too. Like in school, they teach the kids to care about Billy instead of themselves. Like Billy's the tyrant. He's the tyrant, and you got to care about him and not yourself. Like they teach you to care about other people. The teachers, I love them. They're beautiful people, but sometimes teachers have issues too. And so they already associate certain kids a certain way. And so they projectile on them. And so now we have the Hulk brain over here. We call it the Hulk brain because the kids, certain kids are just, they cry for love in unloving ways. And so the teachers are like tired and their only job is to teach. And now they've got to like be a social worker and it's too hard. So they conflict every single time. And so you learn it from a young age. And then we have like, people look at you and they automatically put you in a box. Automatically, no matter what you look like. So you're getting this microaggression feedback all the time. And it feels like guilt. It feels like shame. It feels like you're responsible and you're not. And that's something that we have to like slowly almost like turn the clock a different way because it's not healthy for us. And that's what's really causing such destruction with your inner self, like that inner storm, because you have a good heart, you want to do all this stuff, but you can't. You're only human. Like you have to fill your cup before you fill somebody else's cup. Put somebody's mask on before you go reviving somebody else. And when you do, know your limitations. I'm sitting here with you. I'm present. I can hear you. I've got 5 minutes. What's going on? I hope it works out for you. I got to go.
Let me know.
And on that note,
Let me know,
it is that time.
Let me know.
I hate to stop the momentum, but final thoughts, my people. I feel like that was Trisha's final thought right there. She just boom.
My final thought
Mike?
is that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to get advice from other people in regards to self-care. You may not know anything, but the important thing is that somebody will spark an idea in your mind to help you be better about your own self-care.
Yeah.
Be brave and be courageous in, speaking about your issues to people you trust. And for good or for worse, you're going to learn something from it and apply it to yourself. Don't take it in and don't drift your mind off like I do. Because it's bad. But, take in the information and just apply, at least try to apply the things that people have told you to be better. That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
Jen, your go.
All right. I'm having a lot of thoughts. I feel like vulnerability is a word that's like in my head. Like, you know, as always, we find ourselves in a conversation about fear, not just self-care, that people don't talk about. You know, fear is so powerful and such a struggle for so many people. And then we don't talk about it because we armor up, right? Or because we've got messages not to, or because we've had trauma or some reason that's taught us it's not safe to. And I think about what it would be like if we could, you know, what it would be like, what it is like to learn to be vulnerable or to turn towards the thing. And then my other thought, I guess, really had to do with like this idea, how much harder is it to practice self-care if you don't have this like self-compassion and love for yourself? And I know for me, I've struggled with that, but like that has to be the foundation, right? And that is hard work, because I think, again, we get a lot of messages and we give ourselves a lot of messages.
Yeah.
Like, how can I love and accept myself and have compassion for myself? Because that has to drive. I feel like that has to be where self-care comes from. Not like a list I have. I think I can have a list. Eat better, go to sleep, do my mindfulness, blah, blah, blah. But how am I not judging myself? How am I having compassion and love for myself? That would be such a better way to do that. So I got to think about that a little bit.
Ebony, your go.
What I got from it is learning what self-care is, learning the balance, and just taking in what Trish said, what you said, Mike, what Jordan said, what Jennifer said. Just really, you know, this is something that needs to be discussed, needs to talk about. We need to talk about it, because self-care leads to a lot of other things and a lot of other issues, not just self-care and, you know, what brushing your teeth and combing your hair. We need to really discuss what self-care is, what it can do, and how it can help. So those are the important things that, you know, I'm taking from it, and what we can do to put it out there. You know, I guess my challenge would be to our audience: what can we do to improve self-care? What can we do to improve your self-care? What can be done, and how can we make others feel comfortable with doing self-care or acting, or, you know, getting involved with self-care? I take it. So I guess that would be my challenge to our audience. What can we do, or what can you do to help with self-care? That's it.
Trish.
Oh, I got the microphone again.
No, your go, Trish. Your go, Trish. Or
The only thing I want to say is, like, whenever we feel resistance, there's a lesson in there.
Got it.
There's a lesson in there. So self-care is having those quiet moments and really paying attention to your thoughts, and then trying to peel back on those thoughts and see where that kind of, like, you know, can you eliminate it? What can you do about those thoughts and solve it for yourself, and talk to people that you trust to help you in those moments that are going to feed you energy, not take your energy.
Awesome. Jordan.
Thank you, Mike. Self-care is not selfish. If I could make that like a banner somewhere, like it's necessary.
I love that.
Yes. And you know, my challenge for everybody: go take the love languages test.
Yes.
Figure out what your love language is. I'm yelling right now because I'm super amped about this. But for real, go take your love languages test, figure out what your primary love language is, and I challenge you with just one time per week to love on yourself. If you want to, you find out you like it and you want to do more, kudos. But just one time per week for the next month. Love on yourself, fill your own cup, focus inward instead of outward, and just see how it feels. And then post about it on our Facebook page.
I feel like we need to do it. Like, each of us needs to do it, so that if our listeners are going to do it, we got to go there with them. So I feel like that's our homework too. I love that.
So
I'm for it.
To a point where we take the love language and then we post our love language. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay.
And then you can post about what you're doing to, you know, build your
I know
love
my
language.
love language. I already know my love language.
Gifts.
What is it?
Materials, gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I peeped that already.
So then your challenge is, how are you going to gift yourself? What gifts are you going to gift yourself? Not expecting from anybody else. How are you going to love
Gonna give-
yourself?
okay.
But
Got
just
you.
love
to
this
be
idea.
honest, though, let from I say once we log off this thing, let's all retake it again,
Yeah.
because for all you
Yeah.
know, you just
I'm
learned
down.
something new. It may
Yeah.
be something different from us. It may be something different for us right now.
Oh,
Me
and the
too.
big thing to remember, make sure you're taking the singles one, because I find that when people take the couples one, they take it based on how they like to be loved by their partner.
Yes.
But everybody is different.
have
Like
to
this
take-
person,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah,
like
okay.
my
Like
husband
I'm
is.
blue and orange. Have y'all took that one?
Oh yeah, Darren took that test too.
I'm blue and orange. I'm spontaneous. I don't like the plan. I just get up and go.
Yes, I had to do that. I'm the relational one that's all about feelings and connection, whatever color
Yeah,
that is.
I think that's blue.
blue, I
but-
think. Yeah, it's time.
Yeah. So like, but love language, it's like Darren's is acts of service. So his love language is acts of service, which means that in order to feel loved by me, he likes to receive acts of service. So I'm doing acts of service, but they're not my love language. And so there's a difference there. So make sure you take the singles one and focus on what makes you feel loved, not how your spouse makes you feel loved, but what makes you feel loved, right? Yeah, and then let's post about it. Let's talk about it. I'm super excited about this challenge. So let's do this.
This is great. I love this.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with this, but okay. I like it. I like it.
Yes. Well, as you know, that is our time for today. But like I said, just because our conversation is ending doesn't mean that we can't keep it going in the comments. So don't forget about our challenge. We want to hear from you. We're going to post our results as well. Super, super excited. And other than that, thanks for leaning in with us. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And don't